Tag a friend. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's Kickstart. My name is Gardy, and I have a guest in studio. He's been a guest for the last 2 years at least, about 2.5 years. We've been talking about health and nutrition and doing that in a natural way without having to go get that surgery that's expensive, without having to do all the drugs and stuff that isn't quite natural. There is an alternative, and Dr. Chapa is an expert on that. He has an office in League City, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, and I'm honored for him to be here this morning as we're going to be talking about the 21-day Detox and Cleanse. It's a 21-day vacation from all of the stuff that makes you feel bad, and that actually sounds pretty good. Dr. Chapa, how you doing this morning?
Oh, Gardy, I tell you what, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
I wish you had a twin. That would be awesome.
It would be fun. I'd like to talk to him and see what he has to say, see if he's as delightful as I think he would be.
Oh, he'd be the best.
I'm looking at the picture there. Whoa.
You just took a big chug of water, and it kind of went down the wrong way there.
Well, but I'm looking at the screen.
Yeah.
And you and I are coordinating today. Look at this.
It looks like we're in the same family of colors.
And so, yeah, well, great minds think alike.
It's freezing outside.
Yeah.
You got to wear layers.
Well, hopefully we'll get that little water down the right pipe there, and I will get my stuff together. That's funny that right as I start talking, hey, whoops, the wrong pipe.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, all. I'm so glad that you're tuning in at KHEA Radio and Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, coming to bring you a message of encouragement, a message of know-how, how to take the bull by the horns and get your health moving forward in the 21st century. This is 2021, and this is what we call the golden year of detox. People say, why? Why is the golden year? Well, because we teach a 21-day detox program, a 21-day food stimulant reduction program or an elimination program. It's a 21-day vacation from stress and stimulants in your diet. And people don't realize that your mood is being affected right now based on what is in your digestive tract from foods you ate yesterday, from the amount of inflammation that is in the body, in the joints, in the brain, in the tissues, in the cells. And when there's a lot of inflammation, you can exchange the word inflammation with fire. When there's fire in the cells, when there's fire in the body has to internalize your output productive energy that you would normally give to your job or give to your family or give to your social network, and internalize that energy to go figure out what to do about the circumstances that are before you. And so people are robbed every day of vitality. They're robbed every day of longevity. They're robbed of good health because of food choices, stimulants, rocket fuel, so to speak, whether it is sugary energy drinks, whether it's medications, whether it's processed food, whether it's fake food, make-believe food. Their body has a very hard time navigating those types of fuel sources whenever it wants to be energetic, productive, and mentally intact. And so the 21st century, 21-day, the golden age of detox starts now.
I have a question. You said that it eases off of stimulants, removing them like energy drinks and sugars and stuff like that. Why is it important to take a break or even remove that stuff altogether?
Well, really and truly, we call it a vacation from stress and stimulants in hopes that during that 21-day focus period, we can wake you up to the idea that you don't need it. You know, we weren't designed to run on rocket fuel. And when you put these surges of nitrous, if you will, into the body, it wears the engine down faster. Or it requires higher levels of maintenance. And so always use the analogy of a race car ripping and roaring around a racetrack at 200 plus miles per hour. The tires seem to run, wear out faster. You know, you can go through a couple sets of tires in a day as opposed to a couple sets of tires, a set of tires every year to 2 years or whatever, right? Or however long, you can get out of your tire. And some sort of tweak has to happen in the shock system, or some sort of tweak to the engine, some sort of tweak to all aspects of the way the car's performance is at those high performance levels. So when you expect your body to perform at the level that you expect it to, but you never take time to maintenance it. There's an old saying in business that says you can't work on your practice and be in your practice at the same time. And so we have to take a break from what we normally do and change our perspective on how the day is going to unfold, or how the week's going to unfold, or the month's going to unfold. And so taking that time is a wake-up call. When you walk past the donut, when you walk past the sugary treat, when you walk past the energy drink, when you walk past the stimulant that you gravitate toward, whatever your vice is, you begin to say no to the stimulant, and your flesh then gets mad, gets angry, and it starts to give you symptoms, or it gives you notice that it ain't happy with you. Maybe it's a headache. Well, a headache is an indication of deficiency. A headache is an indication of toxicity. A headache is an indication something in your body is not performing at the level it needs to perform. And where does this stuff come from? Well, it comes from the just basic physiological process of being alive. You're generating metabolites that need to be eliminated, and your body should be, without a detox, a focused detox, should be able to handle those toxins. The challenge, though, is that we just live in a world where the body is dealing with its own metabolic process, metabolites that it has to eliminate, plus bad air, bad water, the plastics in our water, the plastic that we drink out of, because everybody drinks out of plastic. Right?
I'm drinking out of it right now.
I mean, yeah. and so we are inundated with processed food. We're inundated with preservatives in those foods. I mean, anything that has a shelf life has preservatives, binders, fillers, and contaminants in it that more or less make it more like fake food, less like real food. That's why we have to get people back to the basics of health and nutrition and acclimate to real food again. Like, what is a real food source? So like right now in our detox group, we have a support group program that goes along hand in hand with the 21 days of the Golden Detox. And that program is set up to be a support group for people going through the program. And people are asking, how do I cook Brussels? How do I cook, cabbage? How do I cook butternut squash? How do I cook different, food sources that they'd never heard? Last year we had a run on, what was it? Not arugula. I just drew a blank on the red. It'll come back to me. One of the red leafy greens, and it was just funny because everybody just seemed like that was a vegetable of choice. People are going to start experiencing new foods that don't have that shelf life, that don't have a food label, and that has phytonutrients, phytochemicals, biophotons, things that light the cells up, that light the body up to perform at a more top-notch level long term than just a stimulant that people are reaching for.
Molly is watching on Facebook, and she commented Swiss chard.
That's what it was. Thank you. See, it's always nice to have an external hard drive
all
that
the
remembers.
answers. All the answers.
That's right. Thank you. I knew I pushed the right button. She's got my back.
It sounds like cheese. Swiss chard.
Yeah, Swiss chard.
It sounds cheesy.
It sounds cheesy. And so just, something very exciting I would like to say while I'm thinking about it, and since Molly decided to, say good morning and comment, hey, Molly Urich is officially one of our clinical nutritionists at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We have another spot. So, those that have been telling us that you got to do something about that waiting list, Dr. Chapa, we finally came to a place where we are ready. She's ready, and she's been her and I and Jennifer work with her on patients. We all work on patients together because we're a community. We don't want any patient to slip through the cracks and not get the care they need. And Molly said, this is something I love. This is something I want. This is something I desire. I mean, she's shown promise. She has shown effort. She has put in the time. and she has been working with people, and people love her, and we love her, and we know you guys are going to love her. So those of you going through the detox that are having struggle or trouble, make an appointment to see Molly. And get in so that she can coach you through how to get your detox to be the most beneficial detox you've ever done if you've done this before, or if you've never done it and you need somebody to help navigate the terrain. We've got some great promotions and discounts to get you in and get you started and get going on a healthy detox program at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We're just so thankful that God has just given us a team of people coming to aid in the fight for good health. We believe that all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone. So that Swiss chard that we got into last year, I wonder what the vegetable that's gonna go on notice this year, and we're gonna have a run on. I wonder what it is. And so we just launched our new cookbook. I mean, that was put together by just a great team of people to maximize your detox, plus the old cookbook, and you guys in that support group are just so much fun. I'm already 2 days in looking forward to the interactions and the community, because people want everybody to be successful on this, because we all get it that if we aren't supporting each other, a house divided will fall. If we can build good health and we can build an environment where people can reach to the next rung of health, I believe that we can get better thinking. If we can get a better level of thinking to start happening, we can start navigating some of the challenges of the food industry and start changing it at a small level, and then potentially, if that is just in your personal life or in your family life. Like, I have always had to go to seminars and come out of a seminar fired up and excited. Woohoo! Call my wife, honey, we're changing everything. And she says, what?
Yeah.
No. And she's just like, because she's not on that seminar high that I was on.
Yeah.
And
it's like youth camp. Remember youth camp as a kid?
You come home and you were just like blazing, right?
Right.
I mean, you just walked on the mountain, and then you come home and you realize the rest of the world, they didn't get that same like injection of passion and energy and knowledge, and they don't get it, Well, we're at a point right now where the tribe is developing and growing, and now it's no longer just Aaron going and getting a booster shot of nutrition and wellness and encouragement and hope to bring back to this tribe that God has given him, but God has given the increase. We've got Jennifer at the office. We got Dr. Amber at the office. We got Molly now on board at the office. Guys, I'm telling you, we want to provide you with the most up-to-date health information available, and when we go, we are going to take you guys with us. We're going to give that information right back. So tonight, 6:30 p.m., we got our Butler's Courtyard here in League City is hosting us for the 21-day detox experience. So the golden age of detox, here it is, 2021. You can take live notice or Zoom notice and get in to that realm and be a part of the community. We've got people in Georgia. We got people in Huntsville and Bernie. We got people in Louisiana. We got people all over that are joining the detox experience, and we want you guys to be a part of what we're doing. So if you got friends, family, and loved ones, remember, it starts with you. Be the change. Be the example. You change. You grow. You do it this year. And then watch what happens in 6 months. They'll do it with you. Watch what happens next year. They'll do it with you. And more people. This year we got all of our kids going through the program. My 9-year-old's already a week into the program. And on church Sunday, she was like, she texts mom and goes, all the donuts, all the kolaches, I want it so bad. I'm like, and literally I just go to her and I just say, I'm so proud of you. Because the fact that she isn't trying to sneak around the back of us and just go and have a nibble. She's coming to us and saying, I'm experiencing a craving. I'm experiencing a want. I'm experiencing a desire of the flesh. And she's in a sense asking, how do I navigate this fleshy response? And when we can learn to say no to the flesh enough time, it's like going to the gym and training. Champions aren't built in the state of comfort. We're entertained on the sidelines. We're not built for the game on the sidelines, right? We have to get and we have to work. When in the shadows. We have to work in the early mornings. We got to work in the cracks of time. We've got to learn, study, and develop ourselves so that we can find the gumption within ourselves, the grit within ourselves to push onward, upward, goodward, and Godward to a new level. What is God calling you to this year? What are you missing? What have you been missing out on because your health is sabotaging your productivity or your thinking patterns because you're too focused on your belly pain or the skin rashes or the hormone glitches or the symptom patterns that you have? Because we all have stuff. And the body's rarely doing anything to sabotage you on purpose. It's doing things because of survival mechanisms in place that have to be in place so that you survive, because it's an organism that is designed to heal, it's designed to recover. But oftentimes in the 21st century, people find themselves in a state of what we call accelerated aging. I'm pretty sure no one wants to be in a state of accelerated aging. We don't want our hair to turn gray. We don't want our skin to wrinkle up or fall faster than it should. We don't want to feel fatigue. We don't want to feel depressed. We don't want to feel agitated. We don't want to not sleep at night. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I believe in and what I've seen work for patients is that when people take the burden of stress off of their body through a 21-day detox program, they allow functions that were inefficient to turn back on, and energy pathways light up. They see elimination pathways light up, immunological pathways light up. It's so exciting to see how quickly the body will respond just to eliminating some of these inflammatory burden foods that we get into called processed fake foods. Remember, if you eat make-believe food, the best you'll ever get is what?
You'll get make-believe health.
Make-believe health. Who wants that? Nobody. Everybody wants to live long. They want to prosper, like Spock said, right? They want to be like Mork and Mindy, nanu. They want people to, they want to feel good. They want to laugh. They want to enjoy the day. And so, remember, today matters. And as my good friend and long past, God rest his soul, Jim Rohn says, today's the day. Today's the day to plant that oak tree. Don't wait 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Just plant it today because you missed the opportunity 20 years ago. And a lot of people don't realize that you've been doing what you've been doing for the last 30, 35, 40 years, 50 years even, of your life. And you can't expect, if you sowed, I hate to say, bad seed, to have a good crop. If you didn't till the land, if you didn't prune the crop, it's not going to harvest good fruit. And so good fruit in this case is healthy organs. Healthy organs in this case produces good fruit in the form of efficiency, mental clarity, detoxification, regeneration, rest, recovery, all the things that we want our bodies to be doing. We all want to feel like we're 19 again. Although, most of us don't really want to be 19 again, broke and hungry and wondering what we're going to do with ourselves. But the reality is we want to feel invincible. We don't want to feel pain. We don't want to feel the joints declining. We don't want to feel the body aging. We want to outperform those medical, quote-unquote, modern-day glitches. And it's not your age that's determining that. It's what you're eating. It's how well or how not well your body is detoxifying that determines the aging cycle and the speed for which it's happening. So the golden age of detox, 21 days of fruits and vegetables, 21 days of fruits and vegetables and good healthy living and supplements to help purge those pathways, opens up channels for your body to begin to function like it used to. And people oftentimes come in and say, I feel like I did 20 years ago. I feel like I did 15 years ago, 10 years ago. How do I stay? Can I live like this? Can I stay on this same boat in this pattern? Yeah, you sure can. This is what we do at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We give people the 5 steps to health. We move them through symptom patterns. We help them understand where they are. Then we take them through a healing and restoration cycle. Then we get their nervous system and hormones to begin to communicate again. And then we get them into what we call the I feel good phase. Once they're in that I feel good phase, we can then leverage them into the life repair cycles. And the life repair cycles is where we go in every month, every quarter, every 6 months, and we start tweaking the way the immune system works on stealth pathogens. Those are those stubborn bugs that are lingering in the shadows that don't show up on a blood panel. more and more, I've come to realize how really, from a medical science perspective, we are still so far behind in technological age by just evaluating blood work. Blood work, you've got to appreciate that your blood is your lifeline. So your body has multiple defenses and buffering systems and protective mechanisms to protect that lifeblood. Because when those roadways get contaminated, when those pathways get bogged down, when those pathways are toxic, you're really up a creek without a paddle. You're really in a trouble situation. Trouble. Nobody wants trouble. Nobody wants these symptoms. And those symptom patterns come on long before they show up in the blood. And so we look at blood work through what we call functional eyes, which is better, but it's still not what you need to be focused on. You've got to listen to the body's tales. You got to look at the mouth. You got to look at the teeth. You got to look at the eyes. You got to look at the nose. You got to look at the earlobes. You got to see and listen to the story that the patient is unfolding. And that's what we teach all of our clinicians to do at Living Well, is to listen to the story. The story tells the tale. And people think we're magicians at our office, that we're wizards, but we're not. We're just good listeners. We're just listening to the story unfold, and then we pattern those stories with what we know about physiology underneath the skin, and we help people realize that nothing below their taste buds wants the junk. I know it tastes good for about 37 seconds. And I know you get that nice dopamine high, and you go, "Woo! I feel good, Dr. Chapa, on my stimulant, whatever that is." You know, I love that candy bar.
Chocolate.
I love that whatever, right? Mm-hmm. All that is driving is dopamine pathways. Here today, gone tomorrow. Really, here today, gone 15 minutes from now. I want another one. You know, that's what if you find yourself not able to walk past the donut and walk past the kolache and walk past the cookies and walk past the sodas and walk past the energy drinks and walk past these fake processed foods, you have a glitch in the way your blood sugar manages your body, your way your adrenal glands manage and handle stress. And we can teach you how to take all of the information you don't know right now and begin to implement it into a better version of you, so that 2021 is not a repeat of 2020 or 2019 or 2018. And we start planting those health seeds. We start pruning the health that you have, and we start moving you from where you are to where you want to be, one bite at a time, one decision at a time. And so my daughter comes to me and says, I asked her, I said, she texts that text on Sunday, and I said, "Honey, did you eat breakfast?" And she goes, "No." And I'm like, "You're hungry. Of course it's hard to walk past all that wonderful goodness." Thankfully, I brought my food. I will share my food with you.
What was it?
And it was some lettuce and some sweet potato, and it was Sunday prior to detox, so I had some chicken in there, and I open it up, and she goes, "I hate sweet potato." And I'm like, "Well, today's the day, honey. Maybe today's the day you start liking sweet potato." And she ate about 6 or 7 bites of sweet potato. Now, granted, I promise you, she probably didn't like it, but she liked the asparagus. She liked the chicken. She liked the lettuce on that I had in there, and so she ate chicken, lettuce, asparagus mostly, and about 8 bites of the sweet potato. Well, it's okay she didn't like it, because if I can get her to do that about 9 more times, I'll hit my 17 mark. You know, it takes approximately 17 exposures to your palate to love the texture or appreciate at least the texture of food. And what you begin to happen, and I'll challenge all of you guys that are either going through detox, considering detox, or starting some sort of new food plan this new year, is ask yourself, when you bite into foods that you like, foods that you are okay with, and foods that you sort of kind of despise but know you probably should eat, what is it that you like, care for, or don't care for about that food? What does it feel like in your mouth? What do you taste? Explain it to yourself. Get away from the bad adjectives like, "Oh, it's no good. I just don't like it." You know, ask yourself, what don't you like? What does it feel like in your mouth? Is it sweet? Is it bitter? Is it sour? Is it salty? Is it savory? Find adjectives that literally describe what it is that you enjoy, don't enjoy, or can tolerate. And what you begin to find out is most foods aren't really that bad, especially once you start realizing that you can change the flavor of food with good, healthy spices. Of course, we got to quickly jump over to that for a minute because most spices these days are loaded with what, Gardy?
I'm going to say they're loaded with
2 S words.
sodium,
Yes, salt.
and
The other S word. Sugar.
Sugar, okay.
Come on, you knew that. I knew you knew it.
I did. It was in there, but that's not what was at the top of my head.
Well, you're thinking of the other. No, I'm just kidding.
Just stuff you shouldn't eat.
That's right. We got to just avoid that.
Shouldn't eat.
Yeah. And so the reality is the salt is typically the first ingredient. If you see salt on a spice label, put it back. If you and find spices that don't have the salt in it, because the salt that is in there is not loaded with the 86 trace minerals that need to be in there. It's just sodium and chloride, and the average American right now is consuming 3,500 milligrams of salt every day. They only need about 1,500, and you can get that just from food without spices, and that's crazy to me. But the reality is you're not just getting sodium and chloride. You're getting sodium chloride and a bunch of other minerals and nutrients that are necessary to be there. Okay? The sugar, if sugar is in the label, put it back. Because, trust me, there's plenty of opportunities to get exposed to sugar. And so we have to get away from sensationalizing our taste buds through the sugar and salt pathway. We've got to exercise the bitter pathway. If you can start exercising that bitter pathway and start appreciating other aspects of spice, one of the things you'll start to appreciate is the savory factor will come in. You have 5 palates. You have your salt, everybody's very familiar with. Your sugar, everybody's extremely familiar with. And then you have your sour, which people, they can do with or do without, depending on how sour it is. And then you've got the bitter palate. That bitter palate is the one that I call the gatekeeper, because those other ones are easy to get. Every day you're getting hit with a salt, sugar, or sour. But are you getting the bitter? The bitter is like the key to the 5th, which is the savory. Without the 4 basic palates, you cannot tap the savory palate.
It reminds me of, without there being bad, can there be good? Like there has to be the balance.
It's always right? Dualism, right? It's always good and evil, and right and wrong, and light and dark, and
bitter, savory.
Bitter and savory. The bitter is the gatekeeper. My kids, in the first essentials class that they took, it's a writing course. They had to write a narrative or a story. I can't remember exactly. It was many years ago, but it was on bitter herbs, and when you were listening to it, at a junior high level, how powerful bitter herbs were and how well they were known and used, back in the olden days, 100 years ago plus, and listening to how people cannot tolerate bitter today and how disconnected we are from the what it can do for us. Bitter herbs stimulate digestion. Bitter herbs activate the stomach to do its job better, and your immune system and your digestive system. Bitter tastes are healing and therapeutic, very much so, for your immune system, for your detox pathways, and that's where a lot of these things come in. These are the antidotes to modern toxicity and or poisons that we get exposed to, and the bitters keep the system on high alert, and in the gym, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you can give your body, your mind, the tool to say, okay, I get it, I got to do this bitter herb thing, I've got to tap into these bitter plant things, and then I can change the flavor of those with other spices. Like last year, one of my favorite spices that I came to appreciate was a lavender on turkey, for example. And people go, lavender in turkey, ugh. And I thought the same thing. I literally was like, this is going to be bad. And but I was like, you know what? It's weird that somebody would put lavender in a spice and sell it and call it, healthy or call it good. We know lavender's got calming effects. We know lavender's soothing and calming to the mind. So therefore, it makes me think, well, if I put it in my GI tract, it's got to be soothing and calming to my GI tract. Yeah, I mean, and who doesn't need a little bit of a calming sensation to the GI tract with the amount of junk that we put in that stimulates it and fires it up and irritates it, right? So I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. Well, the first bite was, I didn't really taste it too much. Then I hit another one and hit another one, and then all of a sudden I got one. Like I found it. And it was really interesting how, some flavors hit you on the front side, like a jalapeno punches you, right? Like it's like, bam, hits you right out the gate. Where like, serrano pepper and a habanero pepper, they crescendo. They're like, that just elevates and elevates and elevates, and then it comes down. So jalapenos punch, the serrano and habanero lift. Well, the lavender is this last thing. You've swallowed the food. And I know this is going to sound a little gross to y'all, but I mean, this is just what this is how I felt it, right? And this is how I can still picture it, is lavender reaches back up like it's throwing like this last little hook shot, and it's a fadeaway, and it's going, I just want to wait to that last second where you think it's over, and ding, it touches your taste bud. And you go, ooh, that was pleasant. And and that's how it ends. So every bite ends with this, ooh, that was pleasant. And that was how lavender kind of blessed me last year. And I was like, wow, because I don't particularly like lavender in my essential oils. It's not my favorite oil by any stretch. I mean, I tolerate it, but it's not one of my go-tos personally. Definitely use it, but for others, but not for myself. But in the spice department, pretty cool. So, learning to tinker with herbs is in your spice cabinet is a journey in and of itself in the cooking experience. So whatever spices that you've been using this last year, get the salt out, get the sugar out. If it's got MSG in it, get it out. If it's got partially hydrogenated oil in it of any kind, get it out. And if you start looking for spices that don't have those four things, salt, sugar, partially hydrogenated oil, and MSG, you are on your way to learning how to change the way your food tastes, and you'll find that some of those plants that you ate last year that you did not like, you go, you know what? I kind of like garlic, or I like, if you want to try my lavender trick, lavender. If you want to, look at some of these Mediterranean type spices, and you start realizing, man, okay, there's something to this game. And that's just, using spices to your advantage, because most of the plants, families, they change according to the spices thrown into the mix.
What's the best place to look for those spices that are going to be salt-free and sugar-free?
Oh, well, so when you're navigating down your aisles at the grocery store, there's always a spice aisle. And so I typically see the Simply Organics or some of the more, I hate to say expensive spices, but the more expensive spices. And then you just look at them and you just start, finding things that seem to be your go-tos. Everybody needs garlic. Everybody needs onion powder. Man, that was another thing that I found last year, taking onion powder and sprinkling that over asparagus. And putting asparagus, eating it raw is a weird thing to people. They're like, you can do that? Because they're used to only bacon wrapped asparagus.
Yeah.
I mean, well, me too. Sounds delightful, except on detox. So we had to find some new ways. So you can steam it, right? But sometimes steaming it still just kind of leaves it as just a little bit of a bland, bitterish type flavor. And so we started sprinkling garlic powder on it, and then I think we accidentally grabbed onion powder instead of the garlic powder. Maybe there's intent there, or maybe just God moved the hand to the left instead of the right, and then we grabbed hold of onion powder, and it tasted different. And we're like, oh, well, that's kind of fun. And a few years ago at Detox, at our actually 2 years ago when we were at Butler's last Courtyard in League City at our Detox event, we had laid out on a spread asparagus, and it wasn't cooked, and people were like, can you eat that?
Can you cook it?
Yeah, no, yeah. And they
Right.
started eating it, and it was as popular as the carrots. It was as popular as the celery, and people were really mesmerized that, wow, and that was the new vegetable that people were eating. And so make sure that as you're going through your detox that you are prepared for the day. Know that if you skip the breakfast and you don't have a shake at least to balance out that blood sugar, you're going to be more tempted to eat things that you shouldn't eat. And it's no fun feeling the temptation. But I was reading, a book yesterday called Today Matters by John Maxwell, and he was talking about his experience with his heart attack in the 90s. And he said, I took my health for granted. I mean, I just neglect bad choices and felt invincible, running and gunning, never had a health complaint, and just said, you know what? I don't have to worry about this. Woohoo. I'm blessed and I don't have to worry about it. Well, great. Right up until he woke up in a hospital bed. And he had a clot that should have killed him. And, thank God the technology was around to save him, because he's a great influential leader and mover and shaker in today's self-improvement, self-development world, pointing people to Jesus, pointing people to self-development and not self-fulfillment. Self-fulfillment is a dopamine hit. Self-development is a serotonin rush where you feel gratification because you give your service to others. You pour out of your overflow. And he said, in this department of health is one area in the leadership journey that I failed. And he goes, he made a change. And his buddy was telling him, hey, I noticed you're not eating desserts. The last 3 meals that I've gone out to eat with you, you're not eating dessert. That is unlike you, And he said, well, yeah, that's true. And his buddy said, well, have you lost your craving for sugar? Like, how'd you do that? He says, no, I still crave it pretty much. I've just craved life more. And he realized that he had to make a decision. So you've heard me say it time and time again. You cannot outrun a bad diet. It will get you. It will sabotage you. It will shortchange you sooner or later. It will, bad food, bad living, make-believe food leads to make-believe health, and so a part of going through the detox experience is an opportunity to get to get back in touch with real food that has real nutrients, real vitamins, real minerals, real fats, and nutrients and biophotons that lift your body out of the funk of sickness, the slavery of sickness and disease and diagnoses and chasing symptoms, to a place where your body, you're navigating the terrain day in and day out. Even if you've been doing it your way 30 years, you can still start today and start turning that sail a different direction. And because there's always a cost, and that's okay, but staying there is silly. When you got new information, we start applying a level of thinking to that information. Application comes in, and we should theoretically get a better, different result than we've been getting. And that's why we have a 21-day detox. People know that it's 21 days to set a habit, and if that be the case, 21 days. Anybody can do. Everybody can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can do this. And now that you've got the support group, now that you've got Living Well, putting on all these educational programs to make sure that your experience is as smooth and experiential as possible, you have an opportunity to take your health up a notch and focus your attention on living better, being better, and staying better one bite at a time.
I have a question whenever it comes to the spices. You'd mentioned garlic powder. Is garlic powder better than using garlic salt?
So garlic salt has what in it?
Salt.
Yeah. So garlic powder would be much better than using just garlic salt. See, what happens is when they put the salt in, they're just putting that sodium and chloride in there. But a good health, like we have a Himalayan pink salt at our office, and it's 2 different salts from the Mediterranean and the Himalayas, and it's got 86 different trace elements in addition to the sodium and chloride in it, right? So a pinch of that gives you electrolytes and minerals and different things to electrify the cells and activate the cells to function. If you just take salt, sodium chloride, so like salt water, for example, models the biochemistry of our blood, okay? And so in war times, they've even used salt water as an infusion in some cases, right? Now, of course, you can't drink salt water and expect to thrive. That would kill you just through the dehydration effect. But what happens is because of the need to stimulate the salty palate, we just dehydrate, or we evaporate off the water portion, and while that's the first thing that comes to the surface is the sodium and the chloride, the other nutrients aren't there yet. Mm-hmm. And because we're such, we're so needy, we need this abundance now. All we're actually scooping up is really the sodium and the chloride, and we throw that into now your garlic, and we call that garlic salt, and now you're getting this extra salt that you don't need, because again, your body will get enough salts with the standard food-based clean living, like the Mediterranean style, low carb style diet that it needs to function well. And a lot of these patients with heart issues or edema, inflammation in their joints, the water retention is a salt issue. And so we want to help people recognize that their salt intake is indeed too high. So we want to move people, again, not that, salt is not bad, okay? It's just that we overindulge, just like anything. Mm-hmm. We have a consumption problem here in America, and we have to recognize that we have to see a problem before we can fix a problem. So, today you're learning, possibly if this is the first time you hear some of this stuff, is that, I just discovered I don't know how to tie my shoes, so now you got to learn how to tie your shoes and navigate what spices to get, and it's a whole new realm. There's some spices. I still have a bottle of coriander that I'm still learning how to tinker with, and it's taken me a long time because somebody said you need to have coriander as one of your main staples and spices, and I'm like, and I'm still trying to figure out what it really does for the food. Like, I don't know that I like it. I don't know that I definitely don't love it, but I don't dislike it. I just don't know, what it's doing to make my food taste like that whole ding. I want a story, I want my spice to give me
the lavender effect.
The lavender effect.
Yeah.
Or I want to give it the emerald effect, the bam.
Ooh, yeah.
Or I want to give it the crescendo. Whoa. I want to hit those high points, and I want to feel those lifts in the experience, because that's what people love about food.
I got a question. Is there a vegetable that does that without the use of seasoning or spices? It just has that effect. I guess you could eat the jalapenos or the habaneros.
No. So I would say for me, now, assuming that you can handle nightshades, and assuming that you don't have already inflammatory bowel disorders, like your bell peppers, your orange bell pepper is one of my personal favorites. It crunches like an apple, so you get a pop. You get the juiciness effect like an orange, and you get a nice flavoring, like it's not sweet, it's not bitter, it's just a good, refreshing taste, and I think that bell peppers can be a really cool thing like that. I think cucumbers done well can do that. I think that for me, I really do. I like asparagus like that without any. Just raw. That's what was one of the things that I go, wow. I don't even want them cooked unless I'm going to wrap them in bacon.
Yeah,
yeah. If I'm going to take the time to cook it, I'd rather just wrap it in bacon and do it right. But if I'm going to just enjoy a raw veggie, I'm going after something in that department. And then and now it takes a little work, but you can take and roast kale pieces, because they sell kale by the bag and already chopped. And you can put it on parchment paper, spray it with some avocado front and back, and you can throw a little bit of your favorite spice. Again, the onion powder could be something that you try, or garlic powder, or a combination. And or for those that are still working their salt palate down, you can use a Mediterranean spice that maybe has some salt in it. Just don't go crazy with it. Like, use some of the other ones as the foundation and sprinkle that on. And then roast it, in the oven, and it tastes like a chip. It crunches and pops in your mouth. It melts in your mouth and gives you that spice, whatever you flavored it with, sensation. And that's a a little extra step, not just raw, but it's a good idea that people forget and is very easy to do in your oven very quickly.
Okay, so what about hot sauces? Because I always look at the back, and I think there's a lot of salt. It doesn't really, and I don't know. It's all really small on there, but I have the ones I like. Is there one that you would suggest or that you have found?
So on the hot sauce department, a lot of times you just have to find one. Can you handle tomatoes? They're a nightshade. They can be inflammatory, and oftentimes there is extra salts and there is extra sugar in a lot of these.
Right.
So you got to find ones that don't have it. So we like making our own. I think in one of our recipe books we have a tomato, based salsa.
You'll have like a tomatillo.
And then we have a tomatillo sauce.
That's delicious.
That is, heaven on earth. Love that. And so you can definitely use those. And myself, I had to reduce the salt. Because I'm just like anybody else. Who doesn't want that zing of salt?
It says sauce. It's like
That's
trying
right.
to get to salt.
That's right.
Salsa.
It's trying to get
one
there.
more
That's
letter.
Right. And if we could have just put that T in there, it'd have been ding. You didn't cross your T. And the salsa department, you just got to look at the labels and find ones that have as little or avoidance of those sugars. And I really try to push people on the detox just to avoid the sugar. And if you get it into a little bit of salt, so be it. But because I know that a lot of people that have never done a detox before, they're not ready for some of these extreme where you don't go into salsas at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely use salsas. Use the tomatillo sauce, and just know that these are just steps in the journey that I've kind of evolved to and playing with and trying to understand and appreciate more. Because if I can figure some of this stuff out, you can figure some of this stuff out, and you can leverage some of my ideas, and then you can retrain me on some of your ideas, and we can then be forging forward together. Hey, what if you put this combination with this combination, and now we've got a whole new flavor of Vim, Vigor, and Vip that everybody loves so much.
So here's another question. This one is from Carla. She wants to know how she can look at the recipe books.
Oh,
to make the salsa and everything else.
Like she doesn't have. So these are in our. So we have for those that are doing our detox. It's the Living Well Detox 2021 group on Facebook. So you just have to apply to be approved into that group. If you have if you're doing our detox with us, those all are part of our detox experience. So we're excited to give those to our patients and or to people that are bringing their detox game to the table.
And then be active in there. Post pictures. Show you make that recipe here. Here's my version of it, or I changed this or altered this. Be active in there. So Amber Murphy asked a question earlier, and I'm going to go back and find it. Amber Murphy with Butler's Courtyard, which, a reminder, tonight, I think it's at 6:30, right, Dr. Chapa?
It is, yes, sir.
There's a meetup for the detox where you can get some information, ask questions, try some things. There's going to be vendors. So Amber said, I pick a food to focus on tolerating each detox. This time, it's been Brussels sprouts. I already have started liking them, so I need another to work on.
Wow.
Any suggestions?
So I don't know if she's tried. Are you a cabbage lover? Cabbage is another great one. We like the broccoli, the kale. We like the Brussels. We like the asparagus. We like the cauliflower, because these are all what we call liver kidney foods, and so we push towards those foods a lot because the liver is the giver, and we're focusing a lot of our efforts on the detox program to push liver pathways. And if we can get those pathways upregulated and active, your body's detox experience is better because you're consuming foods that are in direct synergy with what we're trying to accomplish in the detox program. And so I don't know if you've utilized or tinkered with any of those, but I'm excited to hear, very excited to hear that you are finding that you like Brussels sprouts. It's one of my personal favorites. And I didn't comment yesterday in the group because so many other people beat me to the punch, and some of you guys had great ideas. I'm so fired up and excited. But I would say that one of the ways that my mom tried for years to get me to eat Brussels sprouts, and I hated them forever. And I don't remember what detox it was, but finally I succumbed and tried her lemon butter, salt, pepper, Brussels sprout steamed. And that's how she always did it. And I never liked it because I didn't like the smell of it. And, because smell is a big deal too, right? And but finally I bit into one. I was like, this is good. What was I complaining about all those? And she looked at me and goes, I have no idea. It's about time, I've been telling you. Didn't I tell you Mama knows best? I'm like, I know. Wish I just it wouldn't have been so rebellious, I suppose. And but then that evolved. I started figuring out, that because my steamer broke is what wound up happening. So like when you're up against your precipice, right, you make change.
Right.
And you got to find a solution. And I'm like, okay, you take these Brussels sprouts and you throw them in a skillet and you're like, these take too long. Well, what do you do when it takes too long? Well, you got to just cut them in half. So people were talking about cutting them in half. Well, then I started shredding mine down to like, I just put them in a food processor and I would shred them down. Like, and now they're like little pieces of, stringed lettuce. And then I would throw those in the skillet and they would cook down perfect. And they didn't have that strong aroma anymore. And now we've been doing this so long, my daughter makes these things called sparkly Brussels, and I can't tell you how many times we've taken it as a dish somewhere, and people go, "These are delicious. What are they?"
You brought them in here before, and they are delicious,
yeah,
right?
And people just, and I think she brought them, yeah, and it's just fascinating how just simple little ideas. So I think she threw up there. Let's see, was it? What did I see that she threw a vomit emoji to broccoli?
Yeah, no broccoli.
Oh, so I think you're in good company, Amber, because Molly calls broccoli carpet. I'm pretty sure she has this idea that licking carpet and eating broccoli taste about the same. But remember,
she has to use the right seasoning on the carpet.
There you go. You got to put
the
right seasoning. And here's the other thing. Roast them. So this is where you learn to roast. And you throw these little broccoli pieces onto your parchment paper, sort of like the kale chips, and then you put your avocado oil over the top, and then you put your spices over the top, and then I'm just getting an idea. So then simultaneously you could be having onions caramelizing on the stovetop, and then you can bring those together. And I know that you're not a big fan of avocado, I think, or maybe you've gotten there, but then you could even take some avocado and I know this is going to sound crazy here. Wash your hands first, right? But then after it's cooled down enough, take 1 or 2 avocado, a little bit of balsamic vinegar. This is just an idea. It's coming to me. I mean, just roll with this, folks, and y'all going to have to tell me if this is any good.
It's God.
Yes, thank you, God. You're so good. Yeah. And you take your roasted your roasted broccoli, you take your onions, and then you take an avocado and a little balsamic vinegar and a little pinch of cayenne pepper and a little bit of lemon juice, and you get your hands in there and you squeeze all that stuff together real good. So almost to the point where you've got avocado squeezing through your knuckles, and you're like, ooh, that looks like crazy. Get your kids involved and let them get their hands dirty, and then get it all off, put it back in there, wash your hands again, dry them, get you a plate, and sit back, relax, and indulge. And I have a feeling you are going to find that you just found a way to consume broccoli, Miss Amber, that's going to rock your socks. You're going to find a way to consume broccoli, Miss Molly, because you'll rename it, no longer carpet, but one of your favorite 2021 delicacies. I don't know, a cool name, broccoli Chapa style.
Yeah.
I don't know. I literally, I hope somebody wrote it down. I mean, this could work, folks.
We'll have to go back.
I'm going to have to give this a shot myself this evening, so I hope somebody wrote it down for me.
It's the 55-minute mark, Dr. Chapa. Just go towards the end, and you'll be able to realize that.
Why? Why does it have to be over? I know. It's
earlier,
so painful.
You said something that I thought was funny, but you said cabbage lover, and I was like, man, why does that sound like an insult? You said something about like being a cabbage lover. I was like, what'd you call me? A what?
That's funny.
No cabbage lover.
No such thing as a cabbage lover in this program. Hey, guys, I'm telling you, this is really a a fun time. Detoxing can be fun. Like learning foods can be fun. And the cool thing is when you take these ideas into February, when you take these into April, when you take them into June, when you take them into October, and you take them into the end of the year of 2021, what you're going to find is instead of gravitating to the 11 to 12 commonality foods, meals that the average American consumes, because we all have habits and we all consume the same 11 meals over and over again for the most part, with an occasional, extra here and there. Mm-hmm. You will replace some of those 11 meals with some of the tactics and tools and ideas that you have experienced here in the 21st Century Detox Program, the Golden Age of Detox 2021 with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. And what's going to wind up happening is you are going to reinvent yourself. You're going to discover new things about yourself. Instead of food just being a conversation of, oh, my veggies, I got to eat them, you're going to start saying, my veggies, I get to eat them. I get to create something new tonight. I get to add a pinch of this, a pinch of that, in order to create some sort of new experience with your food. And then when your kids, start getting, you get their hands dirty and you get them involved, they're interested in eating what they put their hand to. When we just lay the Brussels out in front of them, or we lay the broccoli out in front of them, or the asparagus spear, they kind of look at it and go, you crazy, or what you talking about, Willis? When they go down that road, and they don't want to have nothing to do with it. But when they get their hands involved in the experience, and you enroll your family into the ideas that you're indulging on yourself, even if it's just they're supporting you, right? They might take a bite. And remember, for you, 17 exposures to the palate changes the palate. For them, 17 exposures to the palate changes their palate. And little by little, you're just chiseling away at the old you, the old way of living, the old hand-me-downs that you would have been handing down. Instead, you're going to hand down the golden ticket, the golden age of detox, 2021 with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, the ultimate detox experience. We encourage you, 6:30 p.m. tonight, come out, learn why we detox, what systems are going to be affected most, and answer questions that you might have going through your detox program, because everybody has a challenge. Everybody has things going on in their bodies that need to be addressed, and detoxification is a great way to expose those issues, those glitches in the matrix, if you will. It's a great way to set the body free and give it an opportunity to start regenerating itself, and we are going to have a blast. We've got vendors going to be coming. Main Squeeze is going to be there. We've got essential oil learning going to be happening with the Zerona laser, the fat-burning laser that will challenge the fat cells to break down and to release toxins while you're going through the detox. We're going to be running stats. We're going to be doing heart sound recorders where we can look at valvular insufficiencies. We can see glitches in your most vital pump, the heart. And so we want to make sure that when you're coming, that you come out and see our vendors and hang out with us. And let's make 2021 just a launch pad for a great and brighter future for all of us. And I just look forward to seeing you all tonight. So at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, you can visit our website, justlivewell.com, and or you can give us a jingle at 281-554-8600. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. Coming up next is Elevation Worship. Our King has come. All right, Facebook. Again, share this out and then go hang out at the Detox Lecture Experience Interactive Amazingness at Butler's Courtyard. And Amber Murphy's going to be on KHEA Radio on Thursday morning talking about Butler's Courtyard and all the cool things they have going on. I'm excited to find out if they're going to be doing their February Valentine's Day wedding things. If we can make that happen, that'd be awesome.
We pray that would be fun. I've wanted to do that for the last 2 years and haven't got to do it. So
it could be the year, Dr. Chapa.
It could be. I mean, it's the golden age of detox.
It is the golden year.
Golden age of renewing the vow.
All right.
God bless you.